Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's October 11th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and this is going to wrap it up for the week. No chart lessons on Fridays. Um, it's been crazy the last couple of days. Most of today was sideways action, but the trend up and down is so large and so quick and volatile that they're really nice trends, fairly easy to make money on. You just got to be real careful that you don't get whipsawed because it does move. You either know real quickly if you've hit it right or you've got it wrong. It's not one of those days where you got to sit there and watch it and hope you got it right or you got it wrong. And you can see the bias was somewhat down again, although this is really sideways stuff here. And we had to back so far out to see it, you can't even see with the EMA. But we're back and forth all around it. But we had a trend up, trend down, trend up, and then trend down, then trend up. But overall, the biases were still kind of, notice how the major swings were making lower highs and lower lows here. We had a little bit of trouble getting through the support. That's the reason the line's across there. And in the end, we closed back inside that. Overall, we only closed down 30 points today, which you say only 30 points on an average day, 20 or 30 points is a big move. But to have this much movement and to have traded up and down in such, as far as we did, only closed down 30 points is pretty good recovery. I mean, this is a fairly nice recovery into the afternoon. We actually had a bigger recovery and sold off some, then came back and we closed right inside that support area again. So I'd say that area right there is going to be fairly important support resistance line probably through the overnight and into the morning. And the really interesting thing is look at all the volume and volatility we had even in the overnight session right into the open. I mean, you could have found a few trades and been done before the regular open even started today. And I probably, this last couple of days have been really good trading days. And if you didn't make money, then you just probably still have a lot of work to do. But these are not that difficult days. I've got some emails from other people that are doing really well with this volatility. And so it's probably going to seem fast to people that have not been at this very long. It's going to seem very different. And, I have gotten some emails like that, like what's wrong with the market? There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just, the pace is picked up, the movement's picked up, and it happens. I mean, it'll get slow again like it was this summer. And this isn't the first time it's been volatile like this, and it won't be the last time. It's just the way the market is. But that's what makes it difficult to learn to trade, because just about the time you get comfortable with it trading in one aspect of being real slow or real tight moves, then it'll pick up and it'll be like it is now. So anyway, I only marked the trades through about lunchtime again today because there's just so many of them. And I mean, it's even more today probably than there were yesterday. And that's mainly because it's more of a range type day, and the trends were pretty decent trends, lots of reversals up and down, up and down. So you can see even here a few times here I was selling mostly, but it turned out it's against the trend. But we had this two-tiered coming down. That was the first break, so I was looking for a new low, and every time it looked like we were going to have a reversal, I wanted to get on because I wanted to try to ride it down. So all those trades still worked out or whatever. So, but that's the way you would be looking at that. And same thing here. We were starting to look for, this looked like a range early on. You were looking for a possible reversal, pickup of yesterday's trend. So you'll see trading both ways, but you're still following the rules for the most part. So I probably didn't mark every trade that was out there. I only marked the really good ones, the obvious ones. And when it's really moving like this and you're getting so many setups, be choosy. You can afford to be choosy because, I mean, I haven't counted them, but just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 19 or 20 trades I've marked right there just before lunchtime. And like I said, there's probably others that, you could argue for. So let me back out. We'll talk about these trades. I mean, I'm going to have to back really far out here to make it. We'll just have to move it across as we back out because we're going to have to really get out here to make it viewable. But you can see as it starts to clear up, you can see that there's trends within the trend. There's ranges within the trend. And that's the thing you got to be aware of. And that, so that's why price action works on any price level, on any chart, because there's something going on at every level. And there's even smaller trends in here as well within the others, within what I've already got here. So, you can narrow this down even more. Just like here, there's a trend working up right there. And there's a trend working down right here. And I don't have all these lines on here. So, but just be aware of that. So generally, there was never another setup or a nice swing or whatever, and you're getting too far away from the EMA, so you may not see any more setups. So anyway, just keep that in mind, and I'll draw those shorter term ones if it's warranted. But anyway, first trade I saw was just as I came in the door this morning. Notice you got a new swing low, and there's a first entry, second entry. I marked this one green. There's a lot of sideways action there. It is a failed second entry short. You're going long right into a double top. However, the overnight high is way up here. We do have a break here, but a lot of times when you get a break of a trend during the overnight session and that trend extends, it may not reverse until you get a break in the regular session and a new high. Now, that's not always 100%, but just keep that in mind. I see that a lot. So I'm not as worried about that break going long again off that trend line here as I would normally be. So that's just something to consider. But anyway, you may want to take that one. You got plenty of room to get out before you get back up to here. This thing takes off pretty quickly. And notice there's a double bottom here. So first entry, second entry, same thing. You get a failed second entry short, a little better signal bar. It went low and then turned and went out the upper side. I like going long right there. You don't know that it's going to take off like that, but you just figure you're going to get a scalp out of it anyway, and this thing just takes off. And then notice what happens up here. We make a new high, and you try to go higher one. And look how long we've been away from the EMA. You try to go long once, twice. It fails. That's a failed second entry long. Go short right there. And at this point, you're just hoping to ride it back to the EMA, and you're probably coming back to the trend line. Well, guess what? You come back first entry, you pull back again. Second entry, right off the trend line. I like that one. There is a short-term trend line right there, but that being that key entry point. Plus, let me show you this. This was a little hard to find, this trend this morning. But notice how I drew that right through there, and it's touching on the highs here, and then it's touching on the lows across here. So you could have got this early, drug one down, and then once it turned down off the high, drug it up here. And you can see how well that fits in there. I probably need to drag that just a little higher. And that's a perfect midline across there. And so you can actually sometimes find, this is harder to do and it takes experience, but you can find these lines ahead of time. And so once you had this midline and maybe or you could have just waited till this line up here turned and drew your line and then drug it down and then found the midline. So you wouldn't have found it. It would have been a little later when you found it here, but that would have been the easier way to do it. But guess what? Then when it comes back to these midlines, you're ready for it. And when it comes back to this key entry point, you're really ready for it. So there was no reason you couldn't find it like that. The only thing is you have to have the angle, and you may not have had the angle up here. You might have had it a little flatter or whatever. So that you still got that issue there. You still really need to have this midline, thinking back about it. But if you had that midline, all you got to do is drag this up here and copy it and drag it down here and just see what happens when prices come back to it. And you can see they bounced consistently off that midline when they came back to it. So, but anyway, failed second entry long here, nice move down. Second entry long here, there's a new high. You could really call that a double top as well. So first entry, second entry, nice little bullish bar. Another good move. You actually get a failed second entry short here, but we're kind of stacking up sideways, kind of neutral to bearish bars. Then you really could argue for this to be a double test and a second entry long, but that's your signal bar right there. It's relatively bearish, but you could have still used this one, so that's one you could argue for. I didn't mark it because there's just been so many good trades. It's just not a good setup. But guess what? It comes back and you get that little failed break lower. And look how small that little bullish bar is right there. That's a very low risk. At the very least, you probably get to ride it back to the EMA. That's the one you want. And you can get in that with little or no risk at all on a very volatile day, very volatile week, and look at it go. And then now you've got a close outside during the regular hour, move to a new high, then you try first entry, second entry, it fails. I like going short there. And on this one, I drew the trend line off the lows and then drug it up. And originally I had it right here, but I adjusted a little right there. It still works no matter where you put it right there. But failed second entry long. And actually there was a second entry long here. Notice that I pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it's right off that key entry point. But this shorter term one's played out. We've come off the high side, so there's a good chance we might be going to the other side. Not a very good signal bar. So that one's probably worth skipping, and if you do, you get a chance to, I mean, if you'd taken it, would have worked. And that's the thing about volatile days like this, is that the moves will be big enough to where you probably get a scalp, even if you're wrong, even if you're entering in the wrong direction, as long as your setup looks pretty good. But we come back here, you get another touch. The reason I didn't like this one is you got some support across here. It's just a first entry. It is a big bearish bar. It's right at the midline on this bigger pattern. It could bounce there again, so I was a little leery of that one. Missed a trade there, but I just don't think it's a very good setup. Then notice you make a new low. We bounce off the low. First entry, pull back second entry, and this one broke higher above this bullish bar, turning one out the other side. I like having a sell stop right there, ready to go. And we're looking to ride this back to this trend line if it's valid. And by this time, you've got plenty of information to tell you that this is valid. So the key is just finding out where it is down here. It could be off the closes, but generally it's off the very low of that where the swing started, and that's right there. So, and it's tempting to want to go long right here, and you really could argue for that to be there's a double top here, a little range, so you could count that as a new top. So that's basically a second entry, but it's not. It is right where you would expect it to happen, but you hadn't had a break of this, and it could just keep going lower. So wait and see if you get a higher low. You do get one right here. It's too big a bar though, so now just wait and see if you get a reversal pattern. And notice this is a double bottom. First entry, second entry, so I like that one right there. Even though you're not back to the trend line, it could be where it's off the very low, which would be that red one. If you drag that over, you see it fits, and it still fits the rest of the way up on the closes, so you still don't have a close outside. So that's probably more accurate than the way I originally drew it. But that's a nice entry. It pulls back here and gives you another test of it with a second entry, but I don't like that bar. This one's too big. At this point, I'm being a lot more choosy with the entries. And then notice here you get two. This is, even though you made her high or low, it's still two swings back to the EMA. You get your first close outside this trend channel line or trend line, and it actually goes lower, bounces right off the EMA and comes out the other side. Just go long right there, looking for it to make a new high. You got plenty of room to get out. This turns out to be a really nice trade. And then guess what? You get a reversal pattern right here. Pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It fails. There's a little bit of sideways here, but as soon as it's just going back over that trend line, as soon as it hits, it turns down. I like going short there. Another great move. Several points out of, with the runner. Bounces. That's tempting to take right there, but I'd wait on a lower high, which doesn't come till right here. And so you actually could have taken this one. We're not back down to here yet. We are looking for a new low. The only problem is we didn't have a new high yet off this shorter term one. So, but I still think you could take that short right there. That's still a very tempting short. I'll mark it. You get a reversal here, a reversal pattern, but it's right at the key entry point, so it could trap you and bounce. But when it pushes down and pulls back and fails yet again, right off that trend key entry point gives you that bearish bar. If you can get in that one, go short right there. Notice the little gap. You don't get a good chance to get in it. Comes back again here, but again, it's, we're getting way away from the EMA, and you see before long, it's not long before it bounces. Comes back here and you get a first entry. Again, I didn't mark it, it's just a first entry. There is a little short-term trend line working up through there. No close outside of it yet, really. So I wasn't crazy about that one. Plus, this is really your signal bar. You get a lower high here, a doji, still not back to the EMA. It does tick up and turn down and gives you a new low, then it reverses. And again, this is still a reversal pattern. It's not a failed second entry short yet, but you got this bigger piece here. This, it's hard to say if this is an overshoot or if it's two-tiered, and most of these have been two-tiered. So I was a little leery about going long in here. And notice you get two legs up, you get a big bearish bar here. There's still a little room. This is another one you could argue for. It's a second entry short off the key entry point. But it's looking like maybe there's a overshoot here, and that usually means you're going to get a break if it's an overshoot. So you're just not real sure here, but being that far away from the EMA, you could argue for it, and I wouldn't be afraid to take it if, on most days. But on a real volatile day like this, you just want to wait on the better setup. So, and then of course you move down, first entry, pull back second entry, and there's really two swings up right off the key entry point. Smaller bearish bar, go short there. You wanted to have those. The reason I didn't like that lower high there was all that support across there, so that was the reason I didn't mark the lower high. But when you got the failed second entry and now you got room to get out, by all means take that. And of course you're kind of chopping along there. There's a second entry short when you broke lower here, but again, there's a lot of sideways there. You're not at this key entry point, although this is another smaller pattern key entry point. But notice you're working down. You finally come back and get a big bearish bar with a little double top here, right at the EMA, right at the key entry point. I like that one. Same thing here. You finally get a break. You get a lower high. Go short right there. Just looking to ride it down to a new low. And this thing ends up cutting on through here. And look, notice how it's kind of finding support resistance, and it pulls back and tests it, gives you a bearish bar. As many times as we've come across now, it's probably an equal distance. You do have to go short at the low of the day, but this is also a failed second entry long. Notice the new high, first entry, you're moving down, and second entry. It actually, I think it breaks higher right there. Actually, no, it doesn't. It's just a double top. But notice how that trend line's still holding. So I like that one. And it is a failed second entry long. And off it goes. This one's tempting to go long right here once you reach that measured move, just to ride it back to the EMA at the very least. But that's the dangerous trade to be picking on a day like this, because you see how fast and far it's moved. If you get it wrong here and we keep going, you're in big trouble. So don't be trying to pick, don't be trying to pick that kind of stuff. And there is a reversal here, but it's still below this midline, and I was afraid it may trade into it and turn back down now that we've gotten on this low side, as weak as this market's been. So again, that's one you could argue for. I'd at least make that one green. Again, there's probably others in here, but I'm not marking them because you're better off just to wait on the good stuff. I mean, it just got too much going on here to be trying to, counter trend trade with as strong of a downtrend. But we turn down off the key entry point. You turn down off of it again. Neither one of them have a very good signal bar. Then you get a failed second entry long. Take that one. It does come back again, and it gives you, this is basically a double bottom, but that's really a low. First entry, second entry. So there's a second entry short right there off the key entry point. Third touch in a row. I like going short. Another quick, easy move. Look how all the big moves, where do the biggest moves generate at? Key entry point. This big move, key entry point. This trend line, of course. And then some of these moves are coming off this shorter term key entry point. Here we are again, the key entry point. You get a bigger move. Key entry point, a nice move. And then, of course, we bounce here. Draw that trend line across there. See if it comes back into play. You do get your reversal here. New low, first entry, and then second entry, and that's when it breaks higher. It's right off a possible trend line at that point that hadn't been confirmed, and an EMA. Look how it keeps bouncing off of it, but I don't like these setups. You could argue for that one right there because it is off that key entry point, but it's just, you know, you're a little bit away from the EMA. You're right there at a double top. So I didn't really like any of those. And then all of a sudden you get another reversal here, get a break, and you try to go higher twice, it fails. Notice how it pushed through the EMA, get a failed second entry long, big bearish bar, go short there. Quick, easy move, but then it just gets stuck in here. And don't try to go long or short out of that. Wait till you get another trend going. And then it actually bounces here. And notice there's a new low there, first entry, second entry. Actually, there's a double bottom there, and you get a failed second entry short right off the key, closer to the key entry point there. If you draw it off those first couple of swings, but you could have actually argued for that one as well, because this is a new low. So first entry, second entry. It's not a big. It's just like one tick, and that's not very much in this volatile market. So I would like to see at least a few ticks, and so that's the reason I like that one better, because that could have easily been the key entry point as well there. And off it goes. Look how far we got away from the EMA. Got a new high, and then you get a lower higher with a big bearish bar. Just try to ride it back, and we came off a measured move here. If you drew this, if you could find this midline, notice how there's a few places where it gapped in here, and you can see it working both sides of that line. So if you can find that and then get your measured move and it turned down right off of it, that really lends you towards liking that lower high right there. Otherwise, you're taking a chance in a volatile market. So moves down, first entry, pull back second entry. You got a failed second entry long right there, right at the EMA. And we just came off the upper side, so we're probably going to the lower side, but at the very least you're going to come down to the midline before it bounces probably. So come to find out, we go a whole lot lower. We actually come all the way back down, get a break of this channel before we bounce higher. But there's a turn down right there, but you really don't have that trend line confirmed until here, and you get a second entry there, bearish bar. I like that one. Just looking for it to come back to here at this point, and you actually end up getting 5 or 6 point move out of that. And I didn't mark anything after that. It got us into the lunch hour. I mean, there's so many trades there, and like I said, there's probably even still some more you could argue for after the ones we've added. It's just a crazy day. I mean, we're 25 minutes into this, and I could probably do another 25 minutes on the rest of the trades the rest of the day. So but I think you know, hopefully you're getting you've got enough trades here to study, and enough of I mean, there's no reason not to get lots of trades if you're sim trading. Just take what you think is there, what looks right, and then come back and study it. Don't worry if you're right or wrong. Let the trade play out. You'll probably find out quick today if you're right or wrong. And if you're right, you probably get a lot of runners. And so let it play out and then come back and study your trades. That's how you get better. Just trading by itself does not make you better. Make sure you understand that. The key is coming back and studying your trades. And, people ask me all the time about trading rooms and getting together with groups. And I'm not against groups or anything like that, but honestly, you're not going to learn much in those places. Or else I'd do one myself. I think they're going to hold you back. There's too much wrong information, too many different ideas and thoughts, too many people trying to change something a little bit here, a little bit there. This is a journey that you almost have to take on your own. Trading is a lonely business, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to get on my soapbox today, but I did want to throw that out there because I've been getting a lot of questions about it lately, about trading rooms and getting together with other price action traders, and people think that's a positive thing. And I don't want it, like I said, I don't want to deter anybody from doing that, but I will tell you it'll probably set you back and take you longer. So some people just like to have that support and other people's input, but this is a business where you need to be able to do it on your own. And so at some point you're going to have to do it on your own. And the sooner you figure that out, and the sooner you get started and figure out this is a lonely business and you just got to go out there and tough it out on your own, the sooner you're probably on your way to success. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you had a good week. We'll be back again Monday. No chart lessons on Friday, so none tomorrow. I may not even trade tomorrow. It's been a good week so far, so I may not even trade tomorrow. It just depends. We don't get much of this, so I may trade for shortly. But it doesn't take. You could have been done in 30 minutes today, literally, and done better than you normally do, because it's easy to get runners on days like this. So, but don't overtrade, and if you're trading live, just don't overtrade, because you may have one bad trade that gives it all back when you've had a really good day. So keep that in mind as well. But I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again Monday. I'm done for this week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.